Right now we're going to be making something called a Valentine chocolate box, and it is really a cute project. It has cellophane in behind and it is just absolutely adorable. So the supplies you're going to need for this one is asset number 402 from our resource library. That is freecreativecraftersclub.com, free.creativecraftersclub.com. If you are a member, it is hub.creativecraftersclub.com, and it is asset 402. For this project, you can use a plain cardstock, but for today, where I'm going to use a glitter cardstock, you're going to need some glue, a weeding tool, sometimes you need scissors, but some cellophane in a matching color, and that is all the supplies that we need. Now what we're going to do is upload our asset, and this asset is 402. It's called Heart Chocolate Box, and I'm just going to add this to our canvas. Now what I'm going to do is just take this off to the side, and I'm going to look for my score lines, and it's usually the one without anything in it, and it should show red here under operation, and that becomes your score lines, and that is perfect. Now these are all cut out parts, but we're also going to need a piece of cellophane that's going to fit over here. Now you can cut it by hand, or what you can do is just grab a shape. I'm just going to grab a square. I'm going to bring it down over top here. Change the color. Let's just make it a red for now. I'm going to unlock the sizing. I'm going to drag this over to the corner, and that is just so I cover up everything that's in there. I'm going to get it as close to the edge as I can because we do have to glue this piece on. I'm going to lock it into position and then just move it out of the way. So we are pretty well ready to go ahead and cut this. So let's save it and let's go over to make it. So this is our cellophane piece. Oh, looks like I forgot to attach. So let's cancel here. Let's grab all of this and let's attach it. Now let's make it. We have our cellophane piece, and then we have our cardstock or glitter cardstock item that we're going to cut. So you're going to need a scoring wheel or stylus and your fine point blade for this one. And as I mentioned before, I want to use a glitter cardstock this time. And then for the cellophane, what you want to do, let's just continue here. I'm going to select my device. I'm just using my maker right now. I can use my Explorer as well. So for the cellophane piece, I want you to browse all materials, and cellophane's not there, and I'll show that to you. Find there is nothing. So what I want to do is use the washi setting, because that's a very thin setting. So I'm just going to do washi and done, and then I just need to cut that. So let's get everything cut up, and what I want to do now is go and put all of this together. So I have everything cut out here, and we are ready to put everything together. I have my Barely Art glue, which is my favorite glue to put together. It has a number of lids that go together, and we'll put that together. I have cut my box itself out of this glitter cardstock, and I have cut my cellophane. So this is the box that we are putting together. As you can see, the cellophane's cut on the side, and then it folds in, and then you can fill this full of chocolates and give it out at Valentine's Day. So that is exactly what we are making. I will just put that one aside. I'm going to start by grabbing my little cellophane piece here. Now I used the washi setting to cut this, so it made it a lot easier. Just going to roll my mat away, and this is the little piece that I need for later, and I will just take the rest off and put it to the side so I can put my mat away. Doesn't want to come off. There we go. That's my cellophane piece, and I'll just put my mat aside. And I'll put the extra piece away. So we've got our cellophane piece. Now the other part is our card, which is cut out on this cardstock. Now I find that this glitter cardstock leaves a nice little glitter everywhere. Now I have a little extra piece that I'm going to keep for later, so I'm just going to cut off the extra edges. I like to have nice square pieces when I put them aside, so they're much easier to use later. I mean, you can leave the extra sizing in there if you want. But I'm just going to keep the one piece and store it off to the side. Take my extra pieces here and add them to my paper bin. So now we have our box all ready to go. Let's just grab it off of here. It. Now, as with anything, you'll end up with some extra pieces that you can use later. Now, I try to keep everything that I have used, especially Valentine's, in a plastic folder so that I can use them at a later time. And this time, I'm just going to come in and lift these gently because they're part of our design. Now, I'm going to lose the antlers on that one, but that's okay. Just grab these hearts, and then I can use them at a later time for another project. No point in wasting these beautiful little cutouts. Get them off the mat. Maybe I'll use my scraper tool and bring those off. Okay, great. Now I can take all of those hearts at once. My paper, get rid of the extra debris here. So be careful with the glitter stuff, it will get on everything. So I'll just protect my mat. Put that aside. Okay, we are ready to start putting things together. Now there's a number of score lines and you can't really see them on the back. This is going to be the outside of the box, and it would have been difficult to take this and glue it. So we've left the blank parts on the inside, but we still need to do some folding here. So I'm going to find all my little fold marks. Give them a little, what we call a burnish, and that is just to crisp up the edges. Same thing here. They're a little hard to see. We have our slot in place. Then we have our next one here. Do the two edges. Then we have another one right here. And we also have another one in the middle here. There it is. For our lid. And of course, this one coming down through the top. So our next job here is going to be placing the cellophane right here over top. So we're going to use some of our glue. Now this is a Barely Art glue, and it has a special nib that we're going to use. I just want to check and make sure I got all the parts. There it is, right here. And just pull this out. Sometimes things get stuck in there. There they are. Put that aside. And I like to keep the needle inside of this one just to keep it clear. Check for any extra debris on the edge, and then just put our lid in place. There we go. Now I just want to glue the little edges here. You don't need to be, just an over amount of glue. I'm just going to give it a couple of little dots here, and that's just to hold it into place. As you can see, I'm using very little. Okay, let's put that aside. And I'm just going to have to get underneath this. Now you want to make sure you don't go over the fold on the top. So I'm just going to hold it in the center here. Take a look at the fold. And that looks really good. Just going to smooth it down. It will dry clear. Use my tool here just to get it straight. Right, now that will dry clear, but as you can see, you get this nice color in behind it. Now, it's probably a little tough to see right at this point. Let me just put a piece of white paper underneath, but as you can see, we've got this nice mauve color. All right, we are ready to start gluing. I'm going to grab my glue mat. That's just so I don't get my table too messy. Now the only gluing here are these 4 edges, but you've got to hold them into place to make sure things happen. Now we are gluing on the glitter part. Now you might wonder, will the glitter come off? Will it not glue? Well, it's actually going to hold quite nicely. So I'm just going to hold it in place. I'm going to make sure it's squared off. The biggest key is to make sure it is squared off. There we go. I just hold it in place for a few seconds. This glue actually dries really quickly, but you don't need a lot of it. You have to hold it for a minute or two. It is glitter cardstock, so it may take a little extra to glue this. Doesn't seem to want to adhere very well. Okay, I'm going to add a piece of tape to it so I don't have to sit here and hold it. There we go. And we'll just make sure that it is going to glue together. Now I see that it's really not adhering that well, so I'm going to add a lot more glue in here to get it to hold into place. I might even add a clip just so it can dry in place. Push this down, add a clip. Let it dry. Now I'm going to add glue to this side too. I'm going to try something here to see if it'll help it just a little bit. I'm going to take my scraper tool and scrape some of this glitter off. See if that makes a big difference in the amount of glue that I have to put into place. Glitter has its own issues. It's really difficult to piece things together on one hand, but on the other hand, it is such a gorgeous result. Find another clip to put into place. I'm going to be sitting here holding on to it. So it's not adhering the way I want. I'll just push this down. Maybe just adding the tape is the easier way, especially for the back end of the box. Okay, I'm going to try something a little different on the other two because I'm finding the glitter paper is giving us issues. All right, there's some alternatives that you can use, of course, and I always love things like Zots. I don't know if you've ever used a Zot. These are glue dots, so I'm going to give that one a try as well. pull one of these dots off. Sorry, it's adhering to me. All right, a little test to see if the zots will work the way we want them to. Let zot come off. Seems to have come off on one part. Second one I want to put into place. There, looks like the zots are going to give us what we need. Let's move it into place. There we go. Let's see how our glue is doing here. Well, when I clamped it down, it finally did work. I just didn't want to take a lot of time and sit there with the glue. This one is still quite damp. It does adhere, but you do have to hold it a little longer. Okay, that one looks good. So I'm going to add my zots to this last one too, and I'm going to take some of the glitter off of it because that seems to help quite a bit as well. All right, 2 more zots. Now you notice one thing when you're crafting, when something doesn't work the way you think it's going to, you can always find alternatives. There's that zot, it's right there. It's right there. Aha, okay. Let's add one more. There. There we go. Okay, so now we can add our zots on this end. You can use a glue, just as I show, but it does take a little bit more because of the glitter on the box. All right, so that is the end of our little gluing journey. Let me just put my zots away. So if you haven't seen these, you can get them at Michael's. They're just called zots. There's medium, small, and of course large ones. So last thing to do is just simply close our box, get it into the slot. Maybe one of those days things are not just going to work the way you want them to. Come on, put in the slot. There we go. First time in is a little more difficult. So there is our gorgeous little box. It has the cellophane in behind, nice square corners, using glue on 2 sides and of course zots on the other. The glue does dry and it does stay together. It's just you need a little patience in order to get it to work for you. Okay, so that is all there is to this particular project. I hope you really enjoyed it, and this is a lot of fun, and you can fill it full of chocolates and give it to your loved one.